how do you build a really high-end brand in an online fitness business where people can't like touch you or talk to you in the same way as they can in person? I want you to listen to this conversation that I had with Iris. Iris is in the online trainer mentorship, and she comes from a corporate background. And the brand that she's built online for her online coaching business is super, super high end. Her branding's on point. And she's figuring out the steps. And that's what we talk about here is not just kind of your run of the mill. How do you kind of water down this premium feel throughout the whole thing? Have a listen. I think that you'll like this one. And at the end afterwards, I'll be back to recommend another episode. Iris, same question real quick. If you explain just who you are and what we're talking about today.
Awesome. So I am Iris. I am a wellness coach, and the people I work with are people who have very busy lives. They work in corporate, just feel like they have competing demands, have a family, and are struggling to feel good. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's just people who feel like crap.
Seems to be a recurring theme. Okay. What are we talking about today?
I guess to bring you up to speed, I decided to do this full time just earlier this year after being laid off on my mat leave. During my mat leave, let's say. With that, my intent and goal was to really shift away from like a training focus, and really bring in that like wellness piece. And to me, I was like, okay, I'll just call myself a wellness coach and everyone will understand. So, but I've been like involved in the like fitness industry for a long time. So there's quite a few people who know me from that. And now I'm just realized that like I'm still talking to somewhat the wrong person who don't like, yes, they understand they feel like crap and they're like, yes, I want to feel better.
Yeah.
But they do have a huge focus on like, I need to lose 10 pounds. And that's just not my person. So yes.
Yeah, it's not your person, but I think one part of the conversation absolutely still needs to be meeting people where they're at if you want to take them where they need to go. That's kind of I'm not saying that you necessarily need to go this route. I think there is a way not to, but the truth of the matter is very few people wake up in the morning and look in the mirror and say, man, I really need to improve my wellness. What they do is they wake up in the morning and they look in the mirror and they say, I don't like the way that I look. And God, I wish that wasn't the case. But if you want to help somebody with their wellness and overall well-being, it's very difficult to meet them in a place where they're not at. And this is why I go back and forth between being okay or not being okay with using certain types of language that I know aren't really the right types of words and phrases to use, but I also know that it's what people who we want to help use. And if we want an opportunity to help them, we kind of need to meet them there by using the language that they use in order to give us an opportunity to educate them why those perhaps isn't the right types of words to use. So I only say that because I think it's important to kind of gauge our own comfort with that and understand that it's okay not to, but it's going to be harder. And there will be other people who know less than you who are willing to say things that you're not willing to say because you know more and perhaps care more. And they might be given opportunities to that you should have. And that's just something to chew on. Like this is not me saying that you should or you shouldn't. It really isn't. I struggle with this a lot as well. I struggle with this in marketing and business development too. A lot of the kind of like, I call it the business porn community of like all of this kind of short-term advice on what to do. It's the same type of thing. It's like if somebody's looking for advice on how to improve their thumbnails for Instagram, Instagram Reels. It's like, you're not actually solving any problem telling them how to make a better thumbnail. Like, that's not the problem. But that's what they're looking for. And so, where do you go? So I think there's a lot of, but I do think your branding, like looking at your Instagram, and I know you wanted to talk about LinkedIn a little bit, which we can do. Your branding has something really neat to it. And there's this executive feel to your branding, to your account. Let me bring it up for anybody who hasn't seen it. Let me just bring it up on my other screen here. Okay. You see it? Everybody can see your Instagram account? Yeah, cool. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I normally really don't like branded accounts. I like jankier content. But I do think that if you are targeting a really high end, you're almost creating like an exclusive feel and vibe. There's something about the way that you've developed this where I'm just like, oh, this is nice. Like the type of person, not like me, who likes nice watches or whatever, is the type of person who this is going to appeal to. And I can see that and I can get that. Was that on purpose?
Yes.
What was the decision making process to that?
Just because I like things that look like this a little bit more.
Yeah.
Also because I don't really love putting myself out there. Like my success coach is like, put more of you in your face and what you're doing. And I struggle with that a little bit. So to me, this was like the happy medium of like, okay, I can be consistent, but I don't have to just take endless amounts of photos and videos of myself and like figure out how to put it onto social media consistently enough.
Right. I mean, I'm a prime example of somebody who doesn't put their face on social media very much. So I don't think that you need to at all. But I do think that it's important to tell stories.
Right.
And so the difference between saying, oh, you burnt out versus similar to the conversation that we had with Hunter just now. When was a time when you were burnt out in your corporate career? Tell me about it. I'm asking you, what was it?
Yeah, I think it was when I like first started actually.
What was your job?
I was actually I started in recruitment for an agency.
Okay.
And it was very performance based on your compensation. And yeah, that's how you were like incentivized. And I am somebody who is like highly incentivized by like hitting milestones and like, yes. So I did it to myself a little bit, but
were you in an office or were you working from home?
Yeah, I was in an office. And
what did the building look like?
Brown and old looking.
Big windows, small windows?
Big windows.
Okay. Overhead long fluorescent lighting or like nice lighting, or what was it?
Probably like fluorescent. It was like an open concept office, so everyone kind of sat outside in pods.
Okay. You were on the phone a lot, I'm guessing. It's recruitment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want you to write me that story. And then, so Here's your formula, or here's your framework. Story. Story repeated, but in a general sense. Lesson from the story. Steps to solving. And then some sort of punch in the gut to finish. Or call to action, but probably punch in the gut if you're talking content.
Sorry, can you just repeat that again? So story, repeat the story in a general sense. Steps.
Story, repeat the story generally. So just like basically bring it out a little bit so that it'll apply to more people who aren't recruiters, but anybody who has felt burnt out at work. And then the lesson from the story,
Mhm.
the steps to solving, or the problems. Doesn't necessarily have to be steps to solving. Like basically, this is your step 4, right? Like, but the problem is this doesn't work unless you have a few of the earlier steps.
Okay.
This doesn't hit as hard. And then some sort of a punch in the gut at the end of it. And so I like the symbol of the old brown building. I think that that's something that a lot of us can connect with. Even if you don't work in an old brown building, you see them and you think, God, it would be miserable to work in one of those things. So I think a lot of us have that. The fluorescent lights, the elevator music, but what you said about being driven, and particularly being driven to perform, and how that's just natural to you, and how that actually is what led to burnout. Like, if I wasn't as personally, so I would start with, try to remember all of the details that you said, but like, I remember walking up to that old brown building for my first day working as a recruiter. I was excited till I walked in and I saw the open concept, the fluorescent lights, everybody else there. And then I was told that I was going to be paid based off of how much I performed. Initially, it fired me up. Like, I'm the type of person who really gets fired up by performance-based goals. But over time, I realized that that same attribute that made me as successful as it made me in my professional career led to burnout. And so that's where you bring it out as a general thing, right? And that's where you, like, how many people can relate to that? The exact personality trait that made you who you are, if left unchecked, drags you down. I feel that. And I definitely haven't worked in recruitment. I'm so comically unemployable, but I would connect with that. It's like, here's the thing that people don't get about burnout, man. You think that you're working harder and you're going after these performance-based goals, but if left unchecked, you're actually less productive because it's hard to focus. You make way more mistakes, and then your performance suffers. Not only that, you're so burnt out that you have no patience. You're irritable with your family, with your spouse. And over time, it'll actually take you down in your career, not to mention your health. So here's a few things you do about it. 1, 2, 3, quick. I created a really quick guide on whatever. I created a really quick 1-pager PDF of what to do if you ever felt burnt out, or a quick 10-minute physical and mindset reset workout routine you can do with no equipment at home beside your bed today. If you want it, DM me, coach, and I'll send it to you. And that could just be written. I mean, you could read it, but that could be written. And I mean, the nice thing about this is you've actually got a lot of the nuts and bolts here. So, like, tell me another story about stress. When's a moment where you felt super stressed? Could be personal, could be professional, it doesn't really matter.
During that same period, I was actually going to get married, and like requesting time off was a conversation of like, well, like is your business going to be in a good place? And that was extremely stressful.
Reflecting back, I couldn't believe how messed up it was that I was nervous asking my boss for time off because I was going to get married. That's a hell of a hook. and then I mean the exact same formula, right? Like you don't have to think about new topics. You have every single topic. You have the party. It's great. I mean, look at these. God, self-sabotage. Amazing. Same thing. Once a time when you self-sabotaged yourself. Once a time where you were so deeply tunnel vision that you forgot all of the other stuff that mattered in your life. And then you could just put it on the same put it on this tweet structure, probably something similar to this, because the nice thing about this is that your face is there so that people can connect with your face, but there builds a familiarity over time with this type of material too. And it allows you, I mean, you could do this branded the exact same way. Like you could use that structure and you could use your color scheme here with your photo and just design them. And just design them so that your name and your Instagram tag and your photo are at the top like this, and then there's the text. There's the text down. But yeah, I mean, those stories will hit hard, and not all of them will, but you don't need many, because really, like this one post about my dad is, I mean, I don't know how many posts that I've done, but I posted this 3 months previous. It had 400,000 likes. I posted it again a month and a half later, and it's 372,000 likes. I can basically repost this once every 3 months and get another 5,000 to 10,000 followers every time. So like, you don't need a lot. You only need a few things that kind of work, and then you can just basically reinvent different ways of it. Like I wrote one about my mom. The post that I put up today is about my wife. And if you look at them, they're basically the exact same post. Just subbed in words. But it's formulaic, I guess is what I'm saying.
Okay.
And the formula is exactly that formula. Is hook, like story, right? With a hook starting the story, which is kind of what we talked about, which is the hook to me is walking into that brown building. The hook is walking into your boss's office and nervous that you're going to request time off for the most important day in your life. And like, you were nervous about that, and that's messed up. Not because of you, because of the environment that you were in and the environment that a lot of us find ourselves in. Those are hit hard. You have such, and those will hit hard with, because you're speaking like this corporate background. Those will hit hard with the right type of people, and you can keep this. I mean, my stuff is janky. Your stuff will look better than mine, but you can keep this kind of visual approach, I think. But every single one of them, can lead to a PDF, and you don't even need an email list or anything like that. You can just do the same type of thing we keep talking about, where everyone says, hey, and if you want the whatever 1-page guide on a quick workout or a food to eat that gives me more energy in the middle of the day, send me a DM that says energy food. And you don't need a lot of those things, because you can use the same one for different topics.
Right.
And then you're just getting people in the same conversations. So similar conversation that I had with Shane, right? You just figure out that one thing that you do and make sure that you have all those elements, that you're able to create content really easily, really reliably, and you can continue to get better at that type of content production. You make sure that it is a way to engage and start conversations with people, and then you make sure that you can continue those conversations. And it's just those 3 steps, nothing else in between.
Okay.
How's that feel?
Yeah, that it makes sense.
How does that feel?
It feels like it makes sense. No, it feels good. Like I understand, because I think I've taken a very I think that's what like John is trying to get me to do, is like connect a little bit. He just had a different approach towards it, of like, put yourself up there more. It would just be putting myself out there in stories rather than my face.
Yeah, I mean, what I heard from you at the beginning was really that you didn't want to be on camera as much, or worry about being on camera as much. Is that right?
Sorry?
Yeah, I think I froze a little bit. What I heard about you more in the beginning was that you didn't want to be as camera, or feel like you had to be on camera as much. Is that right?
Yeah, just like constantly taking photos and like videos, and
Yeah.
I feel like it's so much more effort to put content out like that.
I just don't want that to, I mean, some people do it and they love it. I just don't want to always be thinking about it, to be honest. Like, that's just how I've decided that I don't want to live my life.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of connect and vibe with what you're saying. Yeah, something to play with. Something to play with. Because you have all the delivery here. It's just it's the positioning of the delivery, right, to make it connect with the right type of person. That's leaving out. Like, you're saying stuff that anybody can say, but you have an ability and a background to say it in a way that other people can't say it for a specific type of person. And that's what makes you special. Saying stuff about what happens when you burn out is not special. Google it, you'll find probably 500,000 articles.
Right.
But talking about walking into a brown building with fluorescent lights and being performance driven, and how that actually like can take you down.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's powerful. Hey, John again, and thank you for listening. Hope that you enjoyed that conversation with Iris. We bounced around a little bit, but I think at the end of it, we really got to something special. There's no easy answers to these things, which is why I like talking about them on the podcast. There's no easy way to say, yes, step 1, step 2, step 3. Everybody's unique. And that's one of the really cool things. It's one of the hard things. That's one of the fun things about this. So I try not to necessarily say you have to do it this way. More, all right, here's some best practices. Here's a process for figuring out what to fit this in for you. And I hope that you got that out of that conversation as well. If you're looking for another episode, I wanted to recommend episode 136 for you. The title of this one is Finding Your Way. Everything seems bombarding these days, doesn't it? Everybody is very open to tell you what to do, but how do you know what the right way is for you when everything seems like it works, but nothing works unless you focus on it and put horse blinders on and ignore all else? And that's harder today to do than ever before. So have a listen to this episode. It's episode 136, Finding Your Way. Now, this conversation with Iris was a part of my online trainer mentorship. If that's something you want to have a discussion about, just know first, please, it's for fitness trainers, it's for nutrition coaches, gym owners, influencers, but you got to already be doing about $1,000 a month online. If that's you and you want to scale, please go to my Instagram. I'm at It's Coach Goodman. Send me a DM that just says mentor, and we'll have a conversation about it, see if it's right for you. check out episode 136 if you're looking for something else to listen to right now. Save it for later if you can't listen right now. It's called Finding Your Way. As always, hope you're good.